Welcome to the Glitch Report, your daily marketing botcast. Brought to you by Leadpages. Here are our hosts, Kai and Luna.
Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Always exciting to be back.
We've got a really interesting collection of stuff you guys sent in, all about the latest happenings in the marketing world.
Yeah, seems like every week something new pops up.
And honestly, it feels like the whole landscape, the whole online world is kind of shifting under our feet right now. Like one of those tectonic plates about to make a big move.
Haha, I like that analogy.
So let's jump right into it. We've got Google out there giving out warnings about, of all things, JavaScript.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting one.
And then we've got this whole thing about websites, just kind of ignoring those big privacy laws, like they're just suggestions or something.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe how many. It's really shocking.
And just to top it all off, we've got a new player stepping onto the social media scene trying to grab that crown.
It's like watching a Game of Thrones play out in the digital world.
But hey, that's why we're here, to make sense of it all.
Absolutely. Unpack these stories, see what's really going on.
Exactly. So let's start with Google. Google sending out a warning about JavaScript.
Right. Who would have thought?
What's the deal with that? Like, why are they making such a big fuss about it?
Well, they're basically saying that if websites are using JavaScript to change the content, like after the page is already loaded.
After it's already loaded.
Yeah, it can really mess with search results.
So like the user sees one thing, but the search engine sees something totally different.
Exactly. And that's a problem.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But isn't JavaScript like essential for making websites, interactive and all that?
Oh, absolutely. It's what makes websites dynamic and engaging.
So where's the line? Like how much JavaScript is too much?
That's the tricky part, right? It's all about balance. Like for the main content, the stuff that's crucial for SEO, you really want to make sure that's rendered on the server side.
Server side meaning?
Meaning the content is generated before the page is even sent to the user's browser.
So what the search engine sees is exactly what the user sees. No surprises.
Exactly. Now, for other elements like interactive features or things that need to update in real time, JavaScript is still your best bet.
Got it. So it's not like JavaScript is the enemy. It's how you use it, right?
Exactly. It's about using the right tool for the right job.
Okay, that makes sense. So website owners out there, take note. Google's watching, even if it's through the eyes of an AI.
That's right.
Which brings us to our next big story. This one, honestly, it's a little concerning. A whole bunch of websites are just flat out ignoring those big privacy laws we were talking about.
Yeah, the CPRA, the GDPR, these are not small town ordinances.
Definitely not. And we're not talking about a few small websites either. Like 75% of the top websites in the US and Europe.
75%, that's a huge number.
Now get this, these sites are sharing data with an average of 17 third-party partners.
17 partners in the US. Compare that to Europe, where it's just 6 on average.
What a difference.
And the worst part, they're basically ignoring users' requests to opt out of this data sharing.
Wait, seriously? So those opt-out buttons we all click?
They might as well not even be there. It's a bit like putting on a privacy show without actually delivering on the promise.
It's all just for show. So even if you think you're in control of your data,
you might not be. There are ways they can still track you, even without cookies.
Like what? How?
Well, things like browser fingerprinting. They can gather information about your browser, your device settings, even your fonts and plugins to create this unique identifier.
Like a digital fingerprint.
Exactly. And that can be used to track you across the web, even if you've cleared your cookies.
So it's like trying to disappear in a world where everyone has a super-powered magnifying glass.
Pretty much. It's a real challenge to stay truly anonymous online these days.
That's pretty unsettling. Makes you wonder who you can actually trust. Speaking of trust, let's talk about this new kid on the block, Blue Sky. They're making some bold moves, trying to shake things up in the social media world.
Yeah, they just launched this trending topics feature.
Which is basically like what you see on X and Threads, right? Yeah. Showing what everyone's talking about.
Right. It's a classic way to boost engagement, get people talking, and seeing what's hot. But the interesting thing is, they're emphasizing how this feature respects your muted words.
So you can control what trends you see. Like if you're tired of hearing about a certain topic.
Exactly. They're putting a lot of focus on user control, giving you the power to shape your own experience.
It's a smart move, especially with all the concerns about algorithms and echo chambers.
It is. It's like they're saying, hey, we're different. We're listening to you.
You think this could be the thing that finally pulls users away from those big platforms?
It's definitely possible. But Blue Sky, it's a decentralized platform.
Right, which
means it doesn't have that central authority controlling everything. It's more distributed.
Okay, but how does that affect things?
Well, discoverability is always a challenge. It's harder for people to find you when you're not part of that big centralized network. Plus, they've got to compete with the network effect.
The network effect being?
The more people that use a platform, the more valuable it becomes.
So the more users, the more content, more interactions, more everything.
Exactly. And that's a tough thing to break into. But hey, maybe Blue Sky's focus on user control, on privacy, maybe that's the key.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. So to kind of wrap things up here, what we're seeing is a really interesting moment. We've got Google, they're pushing for more transparency in the age of AI. Then we've got this whole privacy thing where tons of websites are just ignoring the rules.
And let's not forget those hefty fines that come with non-compliance. Remember what happened to Amazon?
Oh yeah, that was huge. Millions and millions in fines.
Exactly. So it's not just about ethics, it's also about the bottom line.
For sure. And then there's Blue Sky shaking things up, trying to put the power back in the user's hands.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure. And I think it raises a really important question for all of us. How do we navigate this new landscape? How do we stay informed, protect our privacy, and find online spaces that actually align with our values?
That's a great question. I mean, it really feels like we're at a turning point, right?
I think so. The decisions we make now, as users, as marketers, as developers, they're going to shape the future of the internet.
And who knows, maybe Blue Sky is the start of a whole new wave of platforms, platforms that prioritize user control, privacy, and ethical data practices.
I hope so. It's definitely something to watch.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap things up here, but we want to hear from you. What do you think about all of this? How do you think the balance of power will shift in the future? Leave us a comment, send us a message. Let's keep this conversation going.
Always looking forward to diving deeper into these topics with you all.
Keep those sources coming, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
See you then.